Hello everyone. Happy Friday. It's been a minute since I have hopped on here just solo. I know last week I got to post the exciting Thrivepalooza event, and like, man, the video is awesome and the excitement from that is awesome. But man, like just being there. So I am hopping on here today because I have a lot of friends, and I have a lot of new friends, and you get stuck seeing what's now. You see my life right now, and you don't see who I was and who I came from. And I've been doing a lot of personal development and a lot of mental growth for myself and for who I am lately, and just being open to how our past does not have to define us has been something truly inspirational to me. Hi Jonathan, thanks for the little wave, I appreciate that. But so I am just going to kind of like dive in, because like even people I know from Middle Georgia and from my husband, like they don't know my before, and I don't share it often enough because honestly I was embarrassed by it. My childhood was, I had the best parents. I in this story, like, please don't take anything against my parents, because they had more love than probably any people I've ever known, and I'm gracious for that. But man, we had a rough start. So growing up, I grew up on a farm, and I tell people that all the time, but I leave out the embarrassing part. So when we lived on a farm, sorry you guys, I thought I had really prepared for this, but when we lived on a farm, it was actually because we didn't have the money to live anywhere else. My dad, actually, my hero, he worked on that farm to, like, his work was how we got to live there. So we lived there for free, and he worked as a plumber at UGA, and he worked his butt off. I mean, he worked his butt off for us, and then he would get home at 5, and as soon as he got home, he would be out the door again. He had to bush hog the fields. He had to get the hay up in the hay lofts. He had to make sure the fence was clear. He had to make sure, like, there's no garbage along the fence line, because it was a 300-acre farm, and it was on the road. He had to make sure the ponds were fertilized. Like, he had a pretty huge job, and he was always working. And I'm going to get to the lesson I learned about that later. But being a kid, and I mean, we didn't have a lot, but like I said, we had a lot of love. I remember we didn't really have a whole lot of toys either. So me and my brothers, my mom's watching, she's gonna love this one. We would get the pots and pans out in the kitchen when she wasn't looking, and we would take the biggest, heaviest metal spoon that we could find, and we would just bang on them. Like, my poor mom, all her pots had these huge lumps and crevices, and like some of them probably had holes in them, and bless her heart when she went to try to cook. I cannot now, like, as a mom that cooks dinner every night, I can't imagine trying to cook in a pot with like wobbles and everything on it. So sorry, Mom. But that's how we learned to play. And she would get really mad, and she would tell us to go outside. Well, we lived on a farm. We had chickens. We had eggs. Like, how fun is it to throw eggs off a back porch? So, like, yeah, we didn't have a lot, but not having a lot and being young, you don't realize it. And in a way, it's kind of a blessing, because, man, I had my brothers and I had my family, and we had the world, right? Like, we didn't need anything else. Fast forward to probably I was like 10, 11, and the lady that owned the farm, actually, she sold the farm. Like, gave us very little notice, and just up and said, hey, you guys have to get out. I'm selling this. You need to move. So we went. This is kind of in the time frame when I realized that, like, we didn't really have a whole lot. We didn't have the money to go buy a house. We didn't have the money to go rent. I remember looking at in a trailer park, and I had been so blessed up to this point to be so sheltered that I thought that our beautiful farmhouse on 300 acres, I thought that was it. It was like a mansion to me. I remember walking into the trailer park lot, and I remember looking at my dad and seeing this face of just utter embarrassment and disappointment. And I remember thinking, like, this is really hard for him, but it wasn't like, I wasn't like, oh, poor pitiful us. My heart was like, I just want to hug him, because it's not about a trailer, it's not about a house, it's not about where you live. It's an emotion thing. And like, I've always been super, like, always wanting to help other people. I live my life like, if I have anything and you need it, it's yours. I don't really need it that bad. Like, it's yours. So seeing my dad break down and having that heart, it broke me. And that's a moment that I'll never forget. But it was also kind of a pivotal moment, because I remember thinking, when I grow up, I'm not going to walk my kids through a trailer park. I'm never going to put myself in a situation where I have to walk my kids through a trailer park to see, and nothing against anyone that lives in a trailer park, nothing against that. I just, the hurt that I saw my parents go through, I didn't want my kids to see me and my future husband going through the same thing. So, fast forward a little further, we ended up, God is so good. Like, God is so present in my whole entire life and my whole entire story. And I don't even really know how he pulled this off, but somehow God graciously gave us this beautiful small little house on, I would say probably about 3 or 4 acres of land. It was enough for me and my brothers to feel free. And we had friends now. Going from that 300-acre farm, like with no neighbors except for cows, we now had friends. We had a neighborhood, so we would play kickball in our yard. Like, all the friends would come to our house and we would play kickball, and like, it was the whole scenario. I feel like I kind of grew up in a different time zone, because like, when the street lights came on, you had to go home. And that also, like, that was a fantastic part of being poor. We didn't have TVs, we didn't have video games. All our friends had like Segas and Ataris and all of these things, but we didn't have them. So growing up poor was actually beneficial, because I learned very young how to build relationships with people that I didn't know, complete strangers. I learned how to invite them to play in my yard. And I was, at this point in my life, I was still in a bubble, because my neighbors were poor too. They were actually, I remember some of them were a little worse off than we were. I had some that I really, really loved. We would walk to their house. It's probably about a mile down the road, but they didn't even have running water. They had creek in the back, and that's how they washed their dishes, and that's how they got their water. So in my perspective, I was still rich, you know. I had running water, I had hot water, I had a little house that wasn't a trailer. Okay, this is like middle school age. So now I'm kind of starting to realize like how people work and who people are, and I've just, to this point, I had still been in such a place of love, in a place of comfort with my friends and my family, because everyone was so close. Well, up till this point, my mom had stayed home. Well, she got a job, and that was a lot for us. It's really, really hard to know that you have someone 24/7, all day, every day, no matter where you are. She's gonna pick you up from school on the bus. She's there to hold you if you fall down. She's there to help you if you have any questions with your homework. Like, my mom she is a fantastic mother, like one of the best examples of a mother that I could ever fathom having, and I'm so blessed to have her. But like, going from having her all the time to now she's working all the time, that was hard. That was really hard. So we started having to ride the bus home because she wasn't there to pick us up. And then when we got home, a lot of times it was my brother's responsibility to watch us. And then it was honestly on the bus one day that I started to realize that the world is not as kind as it was in my bubble. And it kind of rocked my world. There was a little girl that sat on the last seat in the bus. And she was a black girl, and to me, she was one of the most beautiful women I had ever seen in my entire life. And my heart and where I'm at, like, I'm not a stranger, and if you gave me joy, you need to know, you need to have some joy too, right? So what do? I was maybe 12 at this point. I was pretty young, but I remember going to the back of the bus, and I had mustered up all my courage because I needed to bless her. I needed her to have a better day. So I told her, I said, has anyone ever told you before how beautiful you are? Y'all, all my expectations of the joy that I was gonna give her, right? It just flopped because she looked at me and she said, are you gay? I was 12. Remember, like, I grew up in the 90s, but really I grew up in the 50s because we didn't have a TV. I didn't know what that meant. I thought she was making fun of me. And she was being mean to me. And now I see that that was not on me. That was on her. But at the time, that was the first time I just had someone that I was trying to help blatantly look me in the face and say, you're stupid, pretty much. That's how I felt. So needless to say, I never talked to anyone on the bus ever again. I had a tape player. I know everybody else had their little CD players and stuff, but I had a tape player, and I had George Strait, and I had, oh gosh, I'm having a brain fart. I had the guy that sings Rodeo, Garth Brooks. I had his tape. And so, like, I probably memorized both those albums because that's what I would listen to. But man, that one hit was enough to take me out. I was done talking to people. I was done trying to help people. Like, she didn't reciprocate my joy, and she took it the wrong way, and it just, man, it hurt me. So it's crazy looking back on, like, how things like that carry with you throughout your life, and how they determine how you react to different people. So fast forward through all that, like, eventually, like, my poor parents, this is another crap thing that happened. We were probably there for 2 or 3 years. I had just settled in, just started having good friends at school. I was just getting used to my mom not working, or not being home all the time. I was getting used to her working. She ended up going back to school, so she's got full-time work and school. I'm finally, like, figuring it out and getting in my groove, and figuring out, like, how to survive. And then it happens again. We found out that we were going to have to move. The property that we had bought, there was a lien on the property. We didn't know that when we bought it, because when my parents bought it, like, we were doing anything that we could to survive. It wasn't let's look into all of this, let's find all the details. We're a very scrappy family, and we're very resourceful. So sometimes that comes with a fault if you don't really look into things before you do it. And that was the situation that we were in. So there was a lien on the house. We couldn't pay off the lien, so we had to move. My parents lost all the money that they had to put into that house, that nice little house with all our friends. So once again, I was moving. And when we moved, you guys, I'm not saying that we just moved from, like, one house in the same city to another house in the same city. I was restarting schools each time. So I started out in Jackson County. That is a little place in kind of North Georgia. And then we moved to Oglethorpe County. That's a little further over. Like, our teams in high school still played together, but we were far enough apart that I couldn't hang out with my friends anymore. And then from Oglethorpe County, like, once I finally got settled into that, then we moved again to Madison County. And so here's another God moment, but this is the trailer part. The house, we didn't have any money. Like, literally, we went from, like, having a little bit of money to kind of scrape by to, like, nothing. We just lost everything, and we had to get out, because when there's a lien on your property, they literally give you, I may be wrong, but it's like 30 or 90 days, something crazy like that. So my grandmother had passed away, my dad's mom, And that in its whole, that was a traumatic story, but that's more of my dad's story, not mine. So with that being said, I'm just gonna kind of skip that part. And when my grandmother passed away, she left us her trailer. God, again, hello, teaching me something and providing for us when we had nothing else and no other option. So we get all our stuff together, and at this point, like, I'm old enough to kind of be excited about moving, because I think there's a certain time in our life where we accept change, and we, for me, going from nothing to something new was always exciting because we can get a whole lot of new things. So it was always an opportunity to be optimistic, like, this is so much fun, I can't wait to move. So we get all our stuff packed up, we move, and yeah, we're in a, I think it was a double wide trailer. It was very small, very, very small trailer. It was blue. We had a porch that maybe 2 or 3 people could stand on at one time. It was crazy how small this trailer and the porch and everything was, but it didn't matter because we had each other, we were safe, we finally had a house that no one could take away. I learned a lot from all of that, and I took that, and now I'm starting high school. Okay, so we're in the trailer, starting high school. I'm meeting brand new friends because this is a brand new county, and trying to figure out who I am, because I mean, high school is rough. But that's another point in time where I had a pivotal moment. I was embarrassed because I was in the trailer. I wasn't in the trailer park, but I was in that trailer that my dad had walked us into to see, but now it's my life. And we didn't have any money still. Remember, guys, we're like broke. There was a point that I remember thinking that putting butter on bread and putting it in the microwave, because we had a microwave, was like amazing. I know, I need help. But that's how poor we were. Like, butter bread and potatoes were it. So anyways, I'm rambling there. The trailer. So I go to high school, and you're making friends, and in high school, like, you're very interactive. High school is a lot of hanging out at other people's houses and learning from one another, and just like trying to figure out who you are, along with figuring out who your friends are and where you fit in. Well, my friends, they had a lot more than I had, and moving out of Oglethorpe County, where I was in like the little port area, to moving to Madison County, which was more rural, but people seemed to me to have more money there. I would go to my friend's house, and I started to really get embarrassed. I would see their big houses with their rooms and their nice floors, and I would immediately think back to what I was living in. I was in a tiny room. I had ripped up the carpet because the carpet had mold in it, because I had a hole in the ceiling of my room all the way through, like straight through. You could see the mold coming out of, I can picture it now. You can literally see the mold clinging to the insulation in the ceiling, and I had a bucket under it. And now I tried to like fancy up my room, but by taking the carpet up, I kind of destroyed it even further, because it went from having some kind of floor to having like that plywood that like splinters. So then it went from like bad to worse, because now I'm like sweeping up a dirt floor. It felt like no matter how much you would sweep it, more of that particle board stuff would come up because it had been rotten because of the hole in the ceiling. Like, this is just a picture of where I'm living. That's where I was. And I would go to my friends' houses, and I'd be like, man, you don't have a hole in your ceiling? like, man, you got it good. You don't have a hole in your ceiling. So through that, I actually met someone that she was not my age. She was like a mother to me, but she started to change my life. She started to show me that I had the choice to make a decision who I was. Just because I was embarrassed by where I was and who I felt like I was does not mean that defined me. This right here, if you listen to nothing except for this is the takeaway that I give to you. You can have nothing growing up. That is not your fault. It is not your fault that you grew up having nothing. It is not your fault that you went to bed hungry. I'm going to pause there for a minute because someone needs to hear that. It is not your fault. And man, like, you have the ability to change. So going back a little bit further, so I met this woman. She was actually a friend's mom. And I hope she doesn't mind me shouting her out. Her name is Miss Karen, and she became my co-mama, is what I called her. This woman taught me to look outside of my situation to better my future. She taught me to stop dwelling on the past and my current situations that I could not do anything about. And she taught me how to reshape them and use them to overcome what I did not want to become. So, fast forward that, I'm gonna skip high school, college, all that stuff. I've always been a headstrong person. I have always known that I am not like everyone else. I am not for everyone else. There are a lot of people that don't like me, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. But I met Jordan. And at this time, I had gotten accepted into Toccoa Falls College. I had scholarships, poor people scholarships. Hello. And I had gotten in through cross country also. I had taken, because of Miss Karen teaching me how to take things and make them into something that's better, I took my frustrations and I started to run. And I was really good at running because I had a lot of frustrations. I had a lot of embarrassment. I had a lot of reasons to run for a long time. So I was really good at it. So I used that to get into college. I'm in college. I'm in college for like a month, y'all. Like a month. That's like all I made it. Because then I met Jordan. Man, so our relationship isn't something that was like starry eyes and the big commercials where you see the hearts coming out everywhere and stuff. That wasn't us. But I will say, after a week of knowing him, I looked over to a friend and I said, I'm gonna marry him after a week, because I just knew it wasn't fake. It wasn't overhyped. It wasn't, we just fit. We just fit. And if you don't know, I truly pray that you get that feeling in your life, because from there it's just grown, and I love him so much. But meeting him, then we had Kaylee, and now I'm in like the workforce, right? Because I jumped out of college, so I have to get a job. So his dad hires me, and I get to see what it's like to work like a 9-to-5 regular job every week. And I thought that I had struck gold, you guys. Like, here's this poor girl that came from this trailer with a hole in the ceiling to now married with a beautiful daughter, a husband that was beyond anything that I could have ever fathomed, in this beautiful house that we had a new refrigerator, like the double door refrigerator. Like, man, we were living good. So going from nothing to having so much so quickly, it got to me. And I learned a lot of lessons from that as well, because I had appreciated my bread sandwich because it was all I had. When you start getting things and you get them fast, it's hard to appreciate them. So, long story short on that, a lot of growth, a lot of realizing who I was and trying to fit in with something that now I know I didn't fit in with. That shaped me even further. Working at a 9-to-5, I thought I was great. Like, I thought that was like it. That was everything that I'd ever wanted. Y'all, okay, I worked there for 6 years. And I remember towards the end feeling so miserable, because I felt like I had this personality and these dreams of not being in a box. And here I was, sitting in a box, in an office, doing things that other people told me to do. And I was really, really good at always trying to reach out and reach over and try to take on as many new tasks because I constantly need to learn. I love to learn, but there came a point where that wasn't enough. I couldn't learn anything else. I couldn't really go anywhere else, and I just felt like I was stuck inside someone else's box, trying to keep the inside nice and neat and clean and in good shape. And man, I love my father-in-law, and I appreciate that opportunity, and I learned so much from it. But I'm glad that I had that feeling of, you gotta get out, you gotta get out. So once again, insert God. Jordan used to be an aircraft mechanic, and his company, huge aircraft company, shuts down. They shut down. And he is upset. And I'm over here like, thank you, Jesus, because I needed a way out, and this was my way out. So through this, me and Jordan started talking. Like, it was like we were flipping to a brand new chapter, and we could write it. The whole page was white. It was clean. It was up to us. So we decided we didn't want to live in middle Georgia anymore. We wanted to move to the mountains. We wanted to raise our children in the North Georgia mountains, and we wanted to give them everything that I never had. We wanted to give them the beautiful farmhouse and all the animals, and we wanted to give them the love. We wanted to give them the Mayberry culture. So here we are. We are up here. We did it. We made it. We are living in our Mayberry culture. Well, so me not really realizing that I was jumped into another box, I started working at a dental office up here, and I am so grateful for my job at that dental office, because my friends that I have gained, my best friend, the girl that I could call right now and say, I've got a garbage bag in the back of my truck, it's very large, I don't need you to ask questions, I just need you to help me. And she would be here. So I'm so grateful for having my time in that box. But I'm also grateful because, man, God has moved again. COVID hit. And I don't want anyone to think I'm saying COVID was a blessing, because it was not a good time. That was a really rough time. But for me, and my ability to turn obstacles into blessings, I was able to flip it, and when I flipped it, it dawned on me. You need to work for yourself. You were not made to work in someone else's box. You are too strong-willed, you are too stubborn, and you have too much love and passion and service to give to others. That is your passion. That is what you're meant to do. Figure it out. Do it. So I call my brother-in-law. And I know he owns a business, so I was like, okay, what do I need to get started? And in my head, I'm thinking I'm gonna have this huge mega corporation of cleaning, because I knew that was something that people needed now more than ever, because with COVID, everyone was trying to clean like crazy. I knew I was really, really good at it, because remember, I had to clean when I had a moldy hole in my ceiling, and I had to sweep dirt floors. So like, if anyone was an expert at cleaning, it was me. So I went into cleaning, I got my business license, got my insurance, got all my stuff set up, because like, I was gonna make it right. I was gonna do it. This was great. And it was great. And it still is great. It was a door that opened up that allowed me to make my own schedule. But once again, it was not the box meant for me. It was a box that was meant to it was almost like the hallway box. If you guys get what I'm saying, the hallway box to lead me out into the open. So I needed it, and I'm thankful for it. But it was my way out. So I did that, and I got huge. I was cleaning. I really was an expert at cleaning, and I still am. But I went from cleaning like one house a day to 4 to 5 to working on the weekends. And my dream of freedom, of time freedom, because originally when I went to work for myself, I wanted to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it, became me being a slave to my own business. The success was great, the money was great, but my core value, who I am, is not money, it's love and it's service. and my family is my everything. So I was starting to find myself in that miserable spot again. I was starting to say, you're doing really good, you're doing your own thing, but you're not happy. You're missing time with your kids, you're missing time with your husband, you're constantly thinking about the next house you have to clean, you're constantly thinking about the specific needs that they need. Like, you're constantly shifting and wondering if you forgot something, wondering if they'll notice that little nick on the window that you didn't do, but now that it's clean, you can see it better. Stuff like that. Like, it was starting to get really heavy. So fast forward to finding my friend Laura. I was cleaning her house, and I had all of that heaviness on me. And I think she saw it, and now she's a very, very good friend of mine. But honestly, I think she saw it because it was probably a month or 2 or 3. It was a while before she finally spoke up, and she shared with me thrive in the business that I work now. And man, like, I finally found it, you guys. I found where I can serve other people. I found where I can be genuinely happy and I can root for my people. I can meet new friends all the time. Come play in my yard. Like, come on over, you guys. It is so 120% me that I just once again, God is amazing. The answer is 1. My watch is talking to me. But anyways, so my whole spiel is life is crazy. We have a lot of obstacles to overcome, and I am far from done. I am far from obstacles, but it's how we look at the obstacles that shapes our lives. And through this mental and head journey, I guess, that I've been on the past couple of months, I've started to take me and who I am, take the poor girl that ate butter bread and potatoes with a hole in her ceiling, and I've used it to make me stronger. Because guess what? If I can do that, I can do anything. And if my God can move me like he has moved me my whole entire life, who could stand in my way? You guys, I just, man, I pray that the right person hears this, because you need to know the obstacle is not the end. That box that you're in is not it. You can open the top. You can pop out. And yeah, it's going to be scary because you have no idea what's going to be outside of that box. You have no idea what's going to be on the other side of that obstacle. But there is something so beautiful and so freeing in opening the box and getting out. So if you're watching this and you're like, man, I feel like what you're saying applies to me, but I need some guidance, I need some help, I'm ready to open the box. I am here as a human I've been through a lot, but I'm still going to go through a lot, and I love helping people. So if you feel stuck, or you feel like you don't want to be in the box anymore, but you're terrified to open the top because you don't know what's out there, message me or message a friend. Talk to someone who loves you. Talk to someone who is able to listen to you without taking their judgment and their ideas and imposing them on you. You are who you are because of the journey that you have made. You have got to stop comparing yourself to other people. You have got to stop telling yourself, I feel this way, but maybe it's wrong because so-and-so doesn't feel this way. No, honey, you are you. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I really, really hope that you see that. And with that being said, I went a lot longer than I thought I would, but I love you guys. I have to go get Kaylee from school. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. Once again, I love you guys. Happy Friday. I hope you have the best weekend.